Recording in progress.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to kick this off by saying hello. This is Andy Harwood from the Vaz+Harwood team. I have been a realtor since 2016. I own the business along with my wife and partner, Sherilyn Vaz, and we love being realtors. So don't we, Sherilyn? You're muted, but that's okay.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Actually, I should say we don't always love being realtors. It's kind of like, do you love being a parent? Yes. But does it have its moments? Of course it does. So what I want to do with this class is give you well, I don't want to say unbiased because there's definitely, you're getting my opinion and Sherilyn's opinion on a lot of things here, but less of a sugar-coated approach than here's what's great about it and here's what's the challenges and why a lot of people don't make it who decide to get into real estate. So the opportunities of a real estate career, I think the best thing about it is that you get to help people. When I was in advertising, I felt like I made advertisements and they went to the production team and then they disappeared and they just went out somewhere. And I guess it was helping people in some way, but there was no sense of satisfaction. Real estate, for us, has a high sense of satisfaction because what you're doing is you're helping people at a critical time. They're moving, they're making a life transition. They may be retiring and downsizing, they might be having a baby and need a bigger house. They might be experiencing financial difficulty and they need to have something less expensive. They might have just gotten a promotion and or whatever, or life is good and now they're buying a beautiful new house. They're going from renting to home ownership, on and on, right? Usually a lovely time or an important time in their life, and it requires a lot of empathy too. So one thing I like to get out there right away, real estate might have the reputation of being very salesy and transactional, and I think maybe it is for some people, but the best realtors are very empathetic. They care about people and they understand that they're helping people when they need it. So I when I talked to my mom about this, she was like, you're kind of doing spiritual work in some ways. I said, well, let's not go too far, but there is a little element of that. So it's definitely a service business and it's a people business. You got to like people and you've got to want to help people where they're at. Um, you are owning your own business. So you're an entrepreneur, whether you're on a team, whether you're thinking of employing other people or working with other realtors or whatever, you are in business for yourself.
Correct.
Because you're not an employee of the brokerage.
Correct. I, above all, like to encourage people who are interested in real estate. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go, what real estate book should I read first? I like to encourage people to read the book called Emotional Intelligence, because you will learn so much on how to behave yourself, conduct yourself. It's just a book that's a lot about self-awareness. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, keep in mind, you are your own brand. You are your company, you are your own brand, how you behave on Facebook, how you behave in face-to-face interactions, how you behave just in general, in life in general, is absolutely critical. I've often had people reach out to me and say, Shabnai, you're so much on social media, but yet I've never yet seen you go around butting heads with people. And no, I don't. Because as a realtor, I have a license with the Department of Commerce. I take that seriously. B, I have fiduciary duties. C, if I saw a doctor acting crazy online, would I want that doctor to, have surgery on me or whatever? No. Similarly, with real estate, you are in charge of someone else's money. You're helping them with the biggest purchase in their life. It's also going to be their biggest financial asset and equity building thing. So So one of the books, so that book that I always tell people to do is, yes, it's your own business, but before reading any book, read the book Emotional Intelligence.
Yeah, and we'll get to a little bit more of that in another slide here too. Great points. But yeah, you're setting up your own business, and now whether you decide to make it an LLC or a sole proprietor or whatever, that's really between you and your tax person. But you are going into business for yourself. But that's exciting. Um, and things that come along with being in business for yourself. To be your own boss, set your own schedule. It's nice to have flexibility. I feel like it's a double-edged sword because sometimes real estate has kept me so busy, it's been tough to have more time with the kids, and sometimes it ebbs and flows, right? But also, um, I'm not locked to a clock, I'm not punching a time card. It's nice to have freedom, and I value that. Even when things are tough, I just remember, well, I'm still working for myself, so I love that. The earning potential is unlimited. It truly is. There really isn't a limit on how much you can make. Um, it's up to you. Uh, uh, and there are ways to make more money in real estate too, beyond just sales. So even if you say, well, Andy, I can only sell so many houses a year. Yeah, that might be true until you have to hire somebody or get some help or something. But there are ways to earn residual income or get into real estate investing where you have the inside scoop and knowledge and are an expert at it, and just many opportunities. Um, Other advantage, unlike being a doctor or a lawyer or a hairdresser, it's pretty easy to get a license. And I make the hairdresser joke because I think it takes 1,500 hours of instruction mandated by the state to become a cosmetologist. It takes 90 to be a realtor. If anybody can figure that out and explain it to me, I'm personally glad that the people who cut my hair are extremely well trained, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Unfortunately and fortunately, in real estate, it takes 90 hours. Um, and we'll go into a little bit more about that. I don't want to go into the mechanics of it here because I've got that coming up shortly. But basically, you do your licensing um, courses. You take the state and national tests, and then you pick a brokerage, and then you're a licensed realtor. So it's relatively easy to get into it, and the cost for getting into it is as little as $1,000, maybe not even that much. Okay, so there's probably more things that are great about it, but I think those are the main things. Can you think of anything, or Nora, or Andrea, do you have any thoughts or questions? Let's focusing on like what's great about it before we go to the challenges.
The only other thing I would add is you get to be a coach, right? So less sales and more
Yeah.
coach. So if you've got a coaching bone in your body, right? You do kids softball or baseball or soccer, right? Or like Cub Scouts or something, right? You inherently have that coaching bone. So you get to help people succeed and get the path that's
Yeah.
right for them, right? So if you very much like to support people in that way, you get to do it a lot, which is great.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, now for the challenges. Um, and I think a lot of people in my position are trying to like sell real estate to people, like in the sense of, it's such a great career, you should get into it. Um, and I really think people should get into it who are very reality based about what it's going to take, because it's not an easy business. And sometimes it looks easy, or it looks like, well, all we do is write up some paperwork and then we get paid for it. And if that was the only thing, that would be amazing. But of course, it's much more than that. Um, it is 100% commission. So I almost, whenever I think I don't need to put this in when I'm talking about real estate, people come and they say, well, what is it? How much do you get paid? Like, what does your brokerage pay? It's like, well, we don't pay anything. I mean, there's no, it's 100% commission. So if you don't sell a house, you don't get paid, period. Again, you're working for yourself. You're not an employee. Now, that might sound scary, or it might sound like, you can't have consistent income, but actually, if you run your business properly and you learn from good people who are doing it properly, you can make a lot more consistency in it, or at least enough to even out the cash flow. It'll never be perfect, but it's not like there will never be money as long as you do the correct things. And that's where you need to learn from other realtors who are doing it right. Too much freedom might be a bad thing, depending on your personality. The biggest things that I find that you need to have to be successful in real estate is you've absolutely got to have motivation. And it's not on the slide here, but you've got to have commitment. But you've got to have motivation. And I find when people get into it saying, oh, it just looks like a cool business and whatever, if they don't have the proper motivation, they won't do the other things that they need to. The motivation might be financial. That's okay. I mean, if you're afraid of not being able to pay your bills or feeding your kids or something like that, that can be great. It could be for your family. It could be for your, it could be, anything. That there's no wrong answer, but you've got to have motivation. And sometimes people who get into this, who have a spouse who has a really good paying job and they don't really need the money and whatever, that sounds good and it sounds like they've got support, but sometimes those people don't take off as much as the people who are like, failure is not an option. So you do have to be a self-starter, and you have to, with the freedom comes the challenge for self-mastery. Because some people, if they don't have that boss who's going to fire them, or whatever, they can't master themselves, and they'll just like sleep in, or I'm a realtor, I can just roll out of bed whenever I want now. Well, you can, but you're probably going to fail in the business, because it all comes down to self-mastery. And that's a journey for every one of us that we're always on. Any entrepreneur, really, that's not real estate specific. Paying taxes, most people who are employees are used to having taxes withheld, and you don't really have to think about it. You just never see the money. In real estate, you see all the money, and it's very easy to spend all the money, and then you have to play catch up. And
it's really not fun when the Department of Commerce, the taxes, everything start piling up.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's usually not fun. One of the industries that the IRS actively goes after are realtors, and a lot of brokerages talk about have financial planning classes. Actually, I was very surprised, and then I learned why. Because realtors are the first to go broke, and are the first to try to commit fraud, etc. And in some cases it's knowingly, some cases it's unknowingly. My point is, when you're an entrepreneur, you are responsible for everything. You're responsible for yourself, for everything, and you're also accountable to yourself. So the faster you develop mastery on different aspects of your life, the better. It's discipline, it's consistency, it's controlling your calendar, and just staying hyper-focused about what your goals are. For me, I have my picture of my 3 kids. As a lot of people have we almost lost our house and all because of my medical bills. So the one thing, and we owed 208,000. So I just kept a picture of my 3 kids on different surfaces, on my phone, everywhere. And every time I wanted to sleep in extra, I would have a picture over there on the ceiling, and that would make me get out of bed. But it's it's no pressure without, no diamonds without pressure, right? I mean, ultimately, it's people only see the highlight reel of our lives. No one sees what's happening behind the scenes, but it's really fun. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
It's a very
Well,
hard business, but it's so fun and fulfilling.
I'll point out taxes is something behind the scenes. So I think one thing that I've heard occasionally from people is who are maybe kind of ignorant, it's like, oh, you realtors, you make so much money, you make 6%, and it's like, well, half of the 6% ish, goes to the other realtor on the other side of the transaction, and then you have to pay the brokerage, you have to pay Uncle Sam. You're working, 25% of your time to pay Uncle Sam. And so all this is not in the highlight reel, to Shirley's point. And there can be very, very good money in real estate, but it can get complicated. It complicates your finances. If you're used to the 10/40 easy, that's out the window. Okay, enough about taxes, unless there are questions. Do you want to have a state license? This is not like, a lot of other professions where you can just, I mean, I did advertising for years and years. There's no state license. Nobody at the state has my name and number. I'm not on the hook for anything. I am with the DOC, because the Department of Commerce licenses us in Minnesota, and we're responsible to them in our broker. It's a serious financial profession that only requires 90 hours of state training, and then they give you a license, and they expect you to not misbehave. Your broker is responsible for you. So, and you're helping people buy and sell houses, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's something to think about. Do you want that kind of pressure and whatever? Running a business is hard. We have expenses, we have taxes, we have all those kind of things. Not everybody is cut out to be in business. And I think there are too many realtors who think they're just getting a license and they're getting, into the business, and then they can sell houses, and they're not quite, no one ever told them that they're opening a business and that they're going to have to, maybe they're going to have to use QuickBooks now, or they're going to have to get an accountant and a lawyer and all this kind of stuff. If that's not what you want to do, you don't have to do all that when you're getting started to set yourself up, but it'll start to happen where the business side of it will become more and more as you start to grow too. Now here's the irony. If you are successful at it, there start to be some new challenges, and one of those can be burnout, because now as your business scales, you have to show more houses. Buyers want to see houses at the same time. You have multiple customers. You're juggling a lot of things, and you're getting busy, and you're getting stressed out. And somebody's mad at you because you forgot something, or you made a mistake. And so you can get burned out. And I have a little bit more to say about that, about joining a team too, because that can help a lot with burnout. And another thing, and this is the last thing in this section, is the business is cyclic and seasonal. And so the economy ebbs and flows, interest rates go up and down, recessions come and go. You might get into it and be successful, but can you make it a long-term career? Can you make it the proverbial marathon instead of the sprint? Sometimes people get into it and they sell a few houses and they make a few $1,000s, or well, they sell a few houses, it'd be, tens of thousands of dollars, and it's like, wow, this is great, and it was easy, and I love it. But then things change, and so to have staying power, even beyond a few years, you have to start mastering the business and be in it to weather cycles. And so that's a lot of what kills many realtors within their first 2 to 5 years. It's just they're not ready for the first cycle. And I know firsthand that that can be difficult because we're in one right now, and our business had to adjust substantially. So to get started, the first thing that you need to do is get in a licensing program. And I'll put in a plug for our office, Keller Williams Premier. We have a licensing program that's no cost for the fees to the agent. There are some costs, but in terms of, like the state license fee, which are fairly minor. If you go through MN Realty School or CE Shop or another program out there, it should be probably around $800 to do the licensing. We do have a program where you don't have to pay that, but you do need to agree to come to our brokerage. So if you want to come in and meet with Aaron or Dylan or team leaders and check us out, you don't have to be on our team, but you could. But if you want to check out our brokerage and potentially do your licensing here, we can help you out that way. The mechanics of it are there are 3 courses. There's course 1, 2, and 3. Course 1 is kind of the big one, and each is 30 hours. When you do course 1, you can go take the state and national test and knock that out. Then the hardest part's over. Then you can clean up course 2 and 3, and you can be done with it usually within about a month. It could be more, but probably not less. So often the realty schools do 3 weeks of classes, and they'll do course 1, 2, and 3 each week. And within a month, you could be done with it. The course that we do is online and it's self-directed. So you could, as long as you are in there, sitting there, keeping the computer refreshed for 90 hours and doing things correctly, the timing is up to you. All you have to do is pass that state and national test. You do have to go to a place to take it, like Pearson VUE, that sort of thing. There's like a proctored exam thing that you sign up for. And if you fail it, you can take it again. You can come back tomorrow and you can take it again. So it's pretty hard to not be able to get through it. You do have to have your license at a brokerage. So the state requires every licensee to be under a broker. So there's an individual person who's a broker. Our broker's name is Mike Olson. And so Mike is responsible for everything that Sherilyn, I, and Nora do. And he's also responsible for almost 200 other agents. So imagine that kind of pressure. Newbie agents, part-timers, he's responsible for all of them. So, and his broker's license is on the line for it. You need to pick a brokerage and you basically sign up. Most brokerages will have you. Some will not take new agents and they don't have to. Keller Williams does, and I'll talk a little bit more about Keller Williams in a sec. The brokerage cuts you commission checks directly. So like our team, we don't pay people. We don't pay agents. That comes straight from the brokerage. So, you got your license, you're at a brokerage. Now what do you do? Where do you get business from? Because that's what the licensing doesn't teach you, how to get business. It doesn't teach you how to be successful and make money at this. It only does the minimum things that the state requires to say, okay, you're good enough to give you a license. There are 2 ways to get business in real estate. You can learn to generate leads yourself, which I'm highly biased for. I'll get to that in a sec. Or you can purchase leads. And I want to encourage everybody who gets into real estate to understand that real estate really is the business of lead generation. Of course, it's helping people buy and sell houses, but I'm talking about the business side of it. How do we run a business that has revenue and has customers and and is able to provide a living, that part of the business is all about lead generating. And so you're either becoming a master lead generator, or you're going to have to pay somebody who's already done the lead generating and wants to sell you their leads. Usually those are online companies like Zillow and that sort of thing. And those come with a pretty high markup. They're pretty steep, where you're already purchasing in at a big split usually. And there are
Also
realtors
keep
who
in
do it
mind that
both
also
ways.
keep in mind that they are sharing that same pool of numbers with all the other agents who are buying it. So it's like which agent, it doesn't matter. Everyone pays the same amount of money, but ultimately the one agent who can convert the lead. So it's like a lottery. So that's where the
Yes.
way you hone your personal skills when it comes to getting agents.
Yeah, so I don't have a slide about this, but really, if you think about other practices, like here's a good analogy, being an eye, if you're going to be an eye doctor and open an eye clinic, you're going to have a list of people. You're going to start to have some customers that you'll service. In the beginning, it'll be just a few, but then that'll grow. They'll tell their friends that Andy Harwood's a really good eye doctor. You should go to him for your glasses, and that practice will start to grow. And then you can ask them to, keep referring people in. And so you're growing a database, and that's really what a good real estate business is going to be, is a database of people that who you're marketing to, so they don't forget about you, and then keep that growing. And so that's where a really good organic base of leads can come from. And it's really not that hard to do. You just need to be consistent about it and understand that that's what you need to do from the beginning. Because you wouldn't believe realtors I know who have been in this business years, and they have no database, nobody. They just have never cultivated it, and so they're always just kind of scattered shot, looking for the next lead, or wondering if maybe they need to start buying leads from Zillow or something. So I encourage everybody to understand from day one, it's a lead generation business at its core. And this is, Nora, this is your point. It's an education and a coaching business. So I think if you should not get into this if you're not learning based, because you always have to be learning. It'll always surprise you. There's always more to learn. And then on the flip side of it, you always need to be educating your clients too. And I think the best realtors aren't salespeople. They're educators and coaches to their clients to help them be better informed about real estate and able to make better decisions. So I think the bottom line in a lot of this getting started is, who's going to mentor you? Somebody needs to mentor you. The ways to get into this are, you join a good team where you'll have coaching and mentoring and support, or somebody already who can take you under his or her wing. Um, uh, I think maybe those are the two ways to do it, but I think it's very, very tough to just get started on your own, solo. You don't know anybody and you're just trying to figure it out. And there's also a lot of liability in that. There's so much to learn and so many challenges in your first year or two. Everything will be new, and it's totally navigable if you have somebody to help you. But if you don't, it's tough. So I don't want to make this a sales pitch for our team in brokerage, but I want to tell you kind of what our team offers, because I'd be remiss if I didn't do that. I can't speak to a lot of other teams, but I can give you a little comparison. So on our team, we do things as we have 7-day-a-week support. We have 4 employees, and 5 including Nora, and they have really well run systems for everything: how to do a purchase agreement, how to do amendments to contracts, who needs to get what paperwork at what time, all that kind of thing. And they're experts at it. And so they're doing this every day and helping our agents. And so new agents can plug into our systems and not have to figure all this out. And if you ever do want to go solo someday, then you know how things should work, and you've worked on a good team and have really learned the business properly. And that, like it says here, that's a lot of risk mitigation. Coaching and mentoring. Accountability is something that we can help our agents with too, because we can, if you need somebody to report to, like, we don't do it like an employee relationship, but we do it like, here's what I need to do this week to be successful. Tell us about it, and then we can help you be accountable. And just having the right mindset. And there are plenty of other teams out there that will give you these kind of things too, but some do, some don't, more or less. And I think we do a really good job. And then Keller Williams, we are the number one brokerage franchise in the world. We're global. We're in numerous countries. We're number one in agent count, units sold, and sales volume. And a lot of that is because we are so training based. We really help agents start their own real estate businesses, whereas a lot of other brokerages kind of see agents like kind of employees, but they're not, because they're 1099 contractors, but they're more in a dependent role. Keller Williams wants everybody in a independent or interdependent role, and I say interdependent because like our office is it's effectively, every Keller Williams office is effectively partly agent owned, because we have a thing called profit share. So the owners don't take all the profit. The owners of the market center, they distribute it back to some of it back to the agents, and then in turn the agents have a agent leadership council. That's what the ALC is in my slides. So we get to kind of direct how things go. So we're kind of in an interdependent relationship. A lot of other brokerages, you'll kind of go like work for them in a way, and Keller Williams is much more about us being in business together. It's more of a platform, and our team is a platform too. So I have one more thing, and then if Andrea, if you have questions, I wanted to give you kind of a typical day, and I laugh a little because there is no typical day, but this is a good day. This is the way a day kind of should be. And I say that in quotes because there isn't really a wrong answer, but there's a couple of things you really need to do. And I think for most people, most of us, this is the correct order. Most of us get out of bed and we have a good routine to start the day. It can be going to the gym. It can be whatever it is you need to get your day going. In my case, it's part of it's getting the kids off to school. But then the morning should be lead generating or doing things that are going to like creating social media content, getting things out there that are going to draw people into your business and generate leads. And if you can, most of us, if you can master your morning instead of letting that get wasted away, that's kind of the key to it. And then in the afternoon, if you can use that for appointments and showings, meeting clients, that kind of thing, that's a good structure. So like morning lead generating, afternoon servicing the leads, servicing the business. And remember that evenings and weekends, we often have to show houses, go on appointments, because some people work and they can't meet you anytime but Saturday, or do open houses. We don't have to work every weekend, and you can draw some boundaries, but most realtors do some work on the weekends. So 9 to 5 isn't it? That is the extent of what I have for you. There's more, but we could be here for hours. So I hope that's a decent overview.